And a good morning to all of you from American Scouser. I am Timuchin with my coffee, and we got Maka the sleepy this morning.
Oh,
We
I.
see that's why you need coffee, but coffee, buddy.
I'll probably have to IV it into my veins.
We have Maka really busy right now as our video editor, clipping and cutting and redoing stuff nonstop as we head into the season. So let's take a look at the headlines really quick. I think one of the bigger stories we'll start with Liverpool. One of the bigger stories for us, obviously, is the Kanata injury. Um, Sounds like it's meant it initially came out as like a week or two, but it's sounding like, especially now that we hear more about Nat Phillips staying and stuff like that, mainly because of this, sounds like it's a bit worse than initially thought.
There's a bit of smoke and mirrors going on for sure. Um, if in terms of Nat Phillips now not possibly moving, it suggests that Kanata's injury is probably a lot more than the start of the season.
Yeah, right. Because like they were like start of the season, you're like, oh, he's out against Fulham. That's fine. More than likely, Matip was gonna start anyway. Based on kind of like how the recent games have gone, I kind of go back and forth with Konate and Matip. I feel like it really depends on who we're playing against, determines who should start. In a game where we're gonna play against a low block and we're gonna try to break down a defense, I think I'd rather have Matip just because he can go on his little adventures and kind of like really cause trouble for defense. Konate is more of a, if we have like a striker that we want to deal with individually, I think that's where Konate comes in, to me at least.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's definitely an old fashioned type of defender in those terms. Yeah, he's more of a stopper than say Matip is. But we say that at the same time, he just seemed to get his head on a few corners into the box. So it's swings and roundabouts really. But what I be more concerned with is just how guarded they are about what the actual specifics of his injury are and how long he's going to be out, because that suggests something a little bit more serious that they don't want to give away than like a little tweak or a knock that's going to keep him out for maybe the first two games of the season.
And we have, I mean, obviously Nat Phillips is there. We do have Gomez back as well. So we can, at least in the beginning, easily be able to cope with it. Even if he's out, 3 to 4 weeks, I don't think it would be as big of a problem. Like from the press conference this morning, as he was kind of like mentioning about the injuries. So Klopp says Allison is fine. So he should be starting against Fulham. Keller is a few weeks away, which if Allison is back, we're good with that. Konate, he referred to him as out for a while. So when Klopp says that, I put that on minimum 3 to 4 weeks when it's for a while, at least about a month or so. Simicas is now back on the pitch. He might be, in his opinion anyway, ready to train next week. So it looks like he's a few weeks out. Curtis Jones, no massive pain, but he's not in. Naby Keita is ill, which sounds more and more like COVID, because I'm slightly under the weather kind of a thing going myself, but it hasn't taken that long. So when we constantly keep hearing Naby is ill, that's almost like sounds like it could be COVID and they don't want to say it. Not sure, but he says he think he'll be back today, first day. So I underestimated a little bit when I said he would definitely be fine. So it sounds like he's not going to be ready for form. And then Jota is not back yet, but he should be training. He should be back to training in a couple of weeks, which usually means he's out for a month. So how concerned are you? Are you concerned at all? I didn't even mention Chamberlain Ox because he's always part of that crew.
Oh,
So I didn't even mention him as one of the ones out.
I,
But
I think I think I think it's news when Ox isn't injured. I think that's the headline then. I think Naby Keita is possibly he's either got COVID or he's watched some of his performances being invisible in the season review from last year, and he's sick from that. But I think it's not concerning because we actually have a squad now. So as long as the other players don't get injured, we're going to be fine. Um, but any of the physical muscle injuries is slightly concerning given the season that we're going to have with the World Cup smack bang in the middle of it, with Klopp complaining about how the players aren't being looked after. That maybe because we've started so soon after the end of the last season, and we played a lot of games, like right up to the Champions League final. It's possible that we're not ready physically. Like the training plans that Klopp would usually have to get players up to speed are, I would say, massively interrupted by the early start, and then planning ahead. He's probably really concerned about how the World Cup is going to affect everything right in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I think the fact that, I mean, the season ended and it was like the longest season ever, most number of games and all that kind of good stuff. And then some of these guys even had international games after the season ended.
Yeah.
So a very, very short break. And yeah, I'm sure they're like systems in terms of, you know, how to build these guys slowly had to change. And you would think, I don't know, a lot of these hamstring injuries is the cause of that. A hamstring is always the worst because, you know, like a knock and stuff like that is fine, but a hamstring I always worry about because it comes back so easy if you are not ready for it. So it's just kind of like a worry till even when the guy is back. I don't feel okay until I see them go out there for like at least 2-3 games.
Yeah.
Before I can say, okay, he's back, the hamstring is gone. Because just being like, oh, he's back this week, until that guy plays a couple of games with hamstring injuries, I'm never comfortable. But then again, I worry as a lifestyle. Anybody who follows the podcast kind of knows that. So let's go to this story right here. One of my all-time favorites. Martin Tyler's comments. Overall, he was kind of like more talking about like, you know, like soccer in general, but he kind of like hinted at the Hillsborough thing with like the hooliganism and stuff. So you can see in the headline now on BBC that he's apologizing over it. Of course, now he's backtracking. What do you make of that story?
Stupid beyond belief for somebody who's a veteran broadcaster. He should have known better. I'm glad you took his picture off there because his face in that picture looks like a balloon full of monkeypox, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, just for that, let me throw that back on.
Oh, man. Just glad I haven't had breakfast yet. But yeah, I mean, it's a spectacularly stupid thing to say, to associate even by implication that Hillsborough had anything to do with hooliganism, especially for somebody whose career was going at the time. So he would have been well aware of the media initially surrounding it with the newspaper that shall not be named, among others. So there's among us Liverpool fans, there's an impression that he's incredibly biased against Liverpool as it is. This is not going to help him in any way, shape, or form whatsoever.
Oh, I mean, it goes without saying. I don't know if you've ever seen like the dude that does the voiceover with Twitter in terms of like his, like how he calls some Liverpool games and goals and stuff like that. It's freaking hilarious because it's true. I mean, you can tell he despises Liverpool.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Martin Tyler is one of those guys. Like Martin Tyler, I have like this little boat I'm trying to put together. Like, you know, I'm going to invite Martin Tyler, Ian Dark, who hates foreigners, any foreign team. So you can tell that. So you can throw them in there. Al Michaels from like here, Mike Tirico and stuff. Just the boats, and then send it to the Bermuda Triangle so we don't have to deal with these guys ever again. And I mean, Martin Tyler is probably one of the first passengers, I'm calling his name, to get on that boat. It's just like the ridiculous bias shows. And I think maybe as these guys get older, while they're getting more veteran, they're getting more senile. So they can't even hide their bias anymore. I guess at least that's the feeling I'm getting. As they get older, it become either they don't care to hide it anymore. They're like, whatever, what are they gonna do? I made it so far, or they just can't hide it anymore. It's becoming more and more clear.
I think be careful what you wish for, because now and then they'd probably find the world's largest transmitter in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle, and then it will be all them all the time in every show. But yeah, it's that kind of thing where, you know, you kind of recognize sometimes older people who were maybe quite liberal in their younger days suddenly start to get more conservative. It seems to be a thing in at least British broadcasting that as broadcasters get older, they start to get a little bit more either racist or a little bit more controversial. And it's kind of like, you know, I'm nearing my retirement age. I've made my cash. I can say whatever I want now, which is, you know, you kind of get surprised that they don't go more into politics as they get older. But yeah, he's he might be the voice for us over on that side of the pond. He might be the voice of Sky Sports and the voice of the Premier League, but it's been an irritating voice since 1992. And when you think that the irritation factor can't go any higher, he goes and turns it up again. So I hope he suffers somewhat career-wise.
He's up for that challenge, that's for sure. He's like, you guys think it can't get worse? Watch this. So let's go across town over here to Everton, the boys in blue, and now Calvert-Lewin is out 6 weeks, and usually you can tack a couple more on that before he's back in full. I mean, we did our preseason previews with the gang, Galley and Bickler in the Premier League show, and we do not see a lot of good things happening for Everton. Where do you see them this season?
Preferably in a very shallow grave as a club. No, I'm only kidding. I think if I was cynical, I would say that Calvert-Lewin is looking at how long does it take typically for a manager to get sacked. About 8 weeks. I think I'm going to say I'm injured for about 8 weeks, and then I don't have to go to Frank Lampard's beautifully designed training sessions of enjoy the ball, lads. So I don't know. I mean, like they lost Richarlison. They're looking to bring Gueye back in. If I've said his last name right. They seem to be setting themselves up for fade, which I'm here for that all day, every day. But yeah, it's the pieces are falling apart before they've even been put together. And it couldn't happen to a better manager as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, I think that's like the biggest part right here. I mean, I'm especially for Lampard's, things can improve after he leaves slightly, not a lot, but slightly. I'll be okay with that. But yeah, I think it's like a hole they've been digging for a while. So now, they push Lampard in there too. And Richarlison.
At which point they had to dig the hole bigger. Just to accommodate his size.
Well, with his impact, it automatically kind of like gets done a little bit when you throw him in there. But yeah, I think, and Richarlison was able to crawl out of there somehow, and just kind of like, they almost had to do that move despite definitely not helping the club on the pitch. I think it kind of like eases some of the pains they have off the pitch with the money they got for him, but it's still a hot mess over there, and I don't see it getting a lot better. And I don't think it's the right man to make it better. I don't know. I mean, riding the high of being able to stay in the division is not a really big high to kind of like start the season off on. And I think, the fans, while the fans are always optimistic, right? Like beginning of the season,
not Everton fans, not
exactly, not Everton fans. I mean, it's just like, especially after going and you kind of look at your off season, you can't even say, well, if this and this happens, we're going to be rolling, like every club for the most part has done some moves, whether you like them or not, but you have added a couple of pieces and you can kind of say, well, if that happens, this happens, let's see what happens kind of thing. But yeah, not in the case of Everton. It's more like, let's not see what happens. It's almost like can't even look. So it should definitely be fun. And I know they have like a tough schedule in terms of like starting of the season as well. So
the thing though as well for Everton, it's possibly for the fans, or it's possibly for the club, like they have some overarching evil, devious plan to make everything just so bad at Everton that the supporters don't have anything to boo. Like they just don't have any impetus to boo at halftime. They'll literally go at halftime and go, it's just, this is the bottom, lads. Like, let's just give up on that. And then they'll start building their team.
And I think, I watch a lot of like fan TV from different clubs just to get like different perspectives. I mean, obviously, like everybody watches Arsenal probably, and like, everybody enjoys Arsenal misery after a loss and stuff. But, like United and like Everton and stuff like that. And you kind of like listen to the fans. Yeah. I mean, some of it might be diluted optimism, but I barely get that from like Everton fans. It's more like they're bracing for the worst. I think after last season, they feel like it can't get any worse, but I think there's some fear back there. They're like, holy shit, maybe it can.
They're the soccer version of the song, I'm only happy when it rains by Garbage from the 90s. with its nice chorus of "Pour your misery down on me." That's Everton in a 3-minute nutshell.
Yes, it is. If you have not had a chance to take a look yet, definitely look at the article we published yesterday, actually, by Jordan. And there's another one going up today by Morgan as well. In terms of like talking about beginning of the season, I really enjoyed Jordan's piece, and I read Morgan's piece yesterday as well. So if you have not caught that, definitely head over to AmericanScouser.com to take a look. It is Happy Premier League Day. We're starting with like a decent game as well. I think I'm kind of anxious to see both teams, because I thought Crystal Palace was like building something. Vera was starting to build something over there. You can kind of see more of an identity, and the same goes at times for Arsenal. So it's going to be interesting to see the pieces they've added, how it's, pays off over there. What do you expect to see today, and how happy are you that?
Oh, I'm always happy on Premier League Day. It's actually ahead of my own birthday in terms of celebration. There's Christmas Day, Premier League opening day, and then except for on World Cup years, World Cup opening day is the best. But I think for Arsenal, there was a report there on Reuters, I think it was, that Arteta wants Arsenal to turn up to 11. I'm not entirely sure whether he meant performances or the speakers at his training ground.
Crank them up.
Crank them up to 11. But he, it'll be interesting to see for all the laughing we do. I think I'm interested to see that if that documentary course happens with Arsenal the way it kind of happened with everybody else that did any of those kind of behind the scenes documentaries. A season full of hope that'll just collapse into nothing, which would be very Arsenal-like. For Crystal Palace, I've no love or hatred for Crystal Palace either way. I loved Vieira as a player. I was always jealous of the fact that he was at Arsenal and was like probably one of the main reasons why Julier's team couldn't achieve as much as it probably should have back in the day. But he's a fat manager. I'm always in it for fat managers. So it'd be good to see. But it's a derby. You can't start any better than a local derby. Like a Crystal Palace Arsenal should be a bit meaty. It's at Crystal Palace as well, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so that's a nice, tight, compact ground. So it'll be quite loud. And then, but I think we probably get Ian Dark on commentary over here. So it'll be Q-tips into the ears and burst eardrums for 90 minutes.
I think he's not as bad when within league games. I just sense a ridiculous bias out of Ian Dark every time. And I feel like, when I say a foreigner team, I always notice it, especially with Turkish teams and stuff like that. But any from that neck of the woods, Eastern European teams and stuff like that, anything they do, he just kind of blows it out of proportion, while the other team is doing it. It's just, this is foreigner bias just freaking kills me. But you scared me with that boat thing now, so I might have to come up with a different freaking plan, because that will last me for days. So on our Discord channel, and if you are not on our fan zone channel for the Discord, why the heck aren't you? We did make a channel where everybody throws their predictions in there. I'm looking through it now. You and I have been able to kind of manage not putting ours in there yet.
To be fair, that's because I'm editing. Eat, sleep, and edit.
Well, to be honest, I don't even think it's not like fantasy league. I feel like today's game is not going to impact it, because I personally at least didn't have Arsenal in the top 4, and I don't have Crystal Palace being relegated. So we're doing a top 4 relegation, the Golden Boot, Golden Glove, best signing, worst signing, manager of the year, first fired, and player of the year nominations going. So let's get a top 4 from you, and then probably on Monday we can kind of delve into our bigger picks. But who do you see ending in the top 4?
Us top, City second, Chelsea or Spurs third and fourth. But I'm not sure about Spurs. I could see them up there, but anything that happens to Kane kills their season. So if he stays fit,
Richarlison now, what are you talking about?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but he's gonna be too busy on the ground crawling still from getting away from Everton. and trying to get a few yellow cards for opposition players on the way. I think United could be up there or dramatically mid-table because it's just not working out for them. I hope that's what happens. That would be fun to watch.
See, I think they added enough pieces. I have Tottenham finishing third. I think Chelsea is putting together a lot of good pieces, but I think it's going to take time to put that together. So I can see them struggling in the beginning while they're trying to work things out. And then, like, they did get the Cucurella deal across, looks like, which that's still a puzzling one to me. But we talked about that yesterday.
They're still trying to buy Fofana, which I don't know whether they'll get, because if Leicester don't need the money financially, if they don't need it to survive, kind of a thing, I could see them holding on to Fofana at least for one more season. So they might not get that player, but they might need another defender anyway. To, as you said, yesterday or the day before, to kind of replace Rudiger, who you can't replace. You have to buy two defenders almost to replace him in that Chelsea team. But it'd be consistent to say that if we think Tuchel might actually end up gone during the Christmas period, that I don't think they're going to do as well as the Chelsea fans and their Chelsea ownership think they will.
Yeah, Michael Martin is up and going this morning. He says Spurs often perform a little better when Kane is out, more fluid. I do agree. When it's like for long term, I feel like they adjust and they play better. But when he's doing this like out for a week thing, they forget. There's like, where's Kane? And by the time they figure out where Kane is, and Kane is not playing that week, it's halftime and shit has gone downhill. But when he's out for extended periods, they almost like adjust their system to play without him. I think that's when Richarlison will come in, because I think he can kind of fill in that role in the middle if they need him to. And I think, like Perisic and stuff, they've added some pieces that fits what Conte wants to do. And I guess I have a lot more faith in Conte keeping things together and putting pieces together than Tuchel does, just by temperament and kind of like authority, and like how we talked about this a little bit yesterday, I think, in terms of like man management and stuff like that. So I feel like, Spurs will do better with that regardless, and they'll finish up third. And then I have Chelsea finishing fourth.
I don't know how you'd ever say where's Kane, though. His chin gives him away every single time. He's not going for that guy. But having said that, I do agree. They do play better when Kane's not there, but he's the top scorer. Like he's the guy who gets the goals, and any team will suffer when they lose players that put the ball consistently in the net. Although, to be fair, if he was injured and they did manage to score 80 goals, he'd probably claim 40 of them, even in the games he didn't play anyway. So
I was there. I was 10 feet away. Yeah, you never know. So who do you have for the Golden Boot real quick? See, I wasn't going to go in, but since we mentioned Kane, let's go with that real quick.
I'm going to be crazy this Friday morning and say, Nunes.
That is a little crazy. I was going to go with Mo. I think seeing him in... I did not know how the contract would affect him, and I don't know what it is. He just seems like almost like faster, stronger, if that was at all possible, and a lot fresher, even though, like I say, they did not have, a long off season, and not having the World Cup on top of that and getting that rest and not having that drop off in the second part of the season. I think Mo will take it. I mean, I think the second closest would be Haaland for me, because regardless of how much we make fun of the misses, I think he's going to get so many opportunities there. Like we were talking about this earlier this week. De Bruyne can make us score goals. So I'm sure Haaland will be able to capitalize some of those wide open ones in front of the net. So he'll rack up some numbers, but I really think Mo, especially like with, he has the penalties as well that I don't think Haaland will. So I think he will have that edge and get the Golden Boot. Well, it is freaking finally here, man. So when we come back on Monday morning, we'll be talking actual games more than all these rumors and gossips and stuff like that. So looking forward to it. Maka, have a great rest of your day, man.
You too, mate.
We'll see you Monday. Keep clipping those clips for us and get some sleep.
And everybody watching should keep liking and subscribing as well.
Yes, especially on YouTube. This guy is clipping nonstop over there so we can publish it. Take a look. Give us a subscribe there. Give us a like on the videos, throw in your comments. Every single one of them helps a lot. We appreciate the support, and we'll keep on plugging along. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great